What is up, everybody? Shauna D Man here, and hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys have yourselves a great week so far. We are back. It is time for our first little review of Daredevil Born Again. Episode 1 dropped last night, titled The Northern Star. And so far, overall, before we get just talk about the episode in general, overall, pretty solid. Well, I'm trying to think was if there was really anything I didn't like. I thought episode 1 of season 2 was actually relatively fine. The episode opens with a cargo ship going through the harbor. We get Matt Murdock in his, I forgot what the suit is called. I know people were talking about it during production and stuff like that. The all black suit with the two red D's on the chest. I can't remember what the exact suit is from. Um, but we do get to see some action. Really, I would definitely say this was definitely had a lot of a good amount of action in it. Like we see him take on several armed people on the ship. We come to find out that obviously Fisk is, yeah, he's mayor of New York, but he's still a bad guy, and so the ship is carrying highly graded military weapons, assault rifles. I think Matt said like assault rifles, pistols, just like heavy duty ordnance. Now they're going to try to find out where or who Fisk is working with in that regard. Um, we get Matthew Leonard later on a couple of minutes into the episode. I think he's. I think this is a new character that they're made. His name is Mr. Charles. Um, but I think he is going by a different name, a different. Let me see if I can find it real quick because I remember. So I can find it because I know a lot of people were like really excited when Matthew Leonard was announced, but I don't know if he has a proper character name. Let me see. We do get some name while I'm looking this up. We do get some name drops. I believe they mentioned Jessica Jones. Obviously, she is Christina Ritter is set to come back into the series, and I think there was like another person, at least that was rumored, um, to be coming in. Um, Sorry, I was distracted by these score. Huh. Okay. Sorry. There's somebody from like the Defenders uh series. A lot of people thought maybe Iron Fist or Luke Cage, but I think neither one of those is set to come in from that era. Let's see. Matthew Leonard, where are you at? Yeah, he's just known as Mr. Charles. I don't think he is. I don't know. I don't really remember it. I remember people talking about it, but that's beside the point. Um, so we also get a Valentina de Fontaine name drop here. So she is somewhat involved in the situation because the attorney general and I guess maybe like a congressman or U.S. senator, whichever he is, they come in and they're not very happy with Fisk on how he's going about how he's executing these emergency powers that he's been doing, these sweeping arrest, vigilantism, and stuff like that. Um, Now this is where Mr. Charles Matthew Leonard comes in, and the attorney general gets a call from DeFontaine, basically cooperating with Fisk. So that is interesting. So now we know Fisk and Fontaine are in bed together. Matthew Leonard's a part of this, but we don't really know what the overall what the overall plan is in that regards. So interesting enough, because of Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer dropping just last week, um, one of the things people noticed because Spider-Man Brand New Day takes place after uh season 2 of Born Again. And also, it was just announced yesterday as well that the Punisher, John Berthal Punisher special drops in May. So I'm curious to see on how all that will correlate with Daredevil Born Again, because I don't think John Berthal is in season two. That may be just because of the fact that one, he has his own Disney Plus special coming out in May, and then two, he is in Spider-Man Brand New Day. So probably from a filming standpoint, they're probably just busy with that. Um, so it feels like we were probably already know the outcome of season two, where potentially Fisk is going to be taken down. Now, I guess in terms of this vigilanteism, Safer Street Act, as they call it, where does Spider-Man play? I know this is Daredevil. I know that we're talking about, but this is kind of like, where does Spider-Man play into this? Because well, because I believe, because the end of No Way Home, because we know Brand New Day takes place 4 years after the end of No Way Home. So there's that's a side tangent that I'm going on. Sorry, sorry. So um, we see Doctor Glenn again, which I'd be quite honest, I didn't really care for her as Matt's new little love interest in season one, but she is apparently going through her own PTSD with the event that she had with Muse, where he nearly killed her. I am still pretty mad they killed off that character so soon. I would have loved to see that character come back. I thought it was a unique character for sure. But she is interviewing Jack while he's in custody. Now we know that Fisk and his task force are rounding up vigilantes, and we saw that at the end of season one, having how they're all locked in cages. Maybe not just vigilantes, but people who would try to oppose Fisk. He's got them like locked in cages and stuff like that. And she's questioning Jack, talking about, just doing a psych eval on him. And and Jack is presenting it as if he he's talking about how he knows the law. Like he wants a like a psychiatrist or a therapist or whoever that his defense and the court agree on that he can have and stuff like that. And then Dr. Glenn, she gets very hostile with him, talking about like she could just let those two men go that are outside guarding, can just come in and do whatever they want. So they can push his trial back till after he heals, or they can cancel it. In that matter of fact. So there was that. We still get the little BB shorts that are going on, where I guess she's working with Fisk team, but in reality she's just using Daniel to get information that she needs. Um, I'm trying to remember what else was there. So with the Northern Star going down, there was two guys who escaped, and Fisk is on the hunt for them. Um, Basically, leave no witnesses alive. Now, the first guy, the captain, he ultimately gets captured and he gets killed after the task force goes and visits one of his little known spots that he likes to visit. They were able to catch him. Um, and then interrogate him. Where's the other guy? I don't know. I just want to go home. Buck comes in trying to play the good cop and then ultimately kills him. And then we get some stuff with Kristen at the law firm as she's getting ready to defend. I believe she's getting ready to defend Jack, who is known as the swordsman, the vigilante known as the swordsman. So I think she's getting ready to defend him. Meanwhile, her mentor is going to be on the opposite side of it and stuff like that, trying to convince her to come back to the firm and stuff like that, and she doesn't want to. We get Cherry back again, um, who is looking into the two guys that Matt was able to get the names of, the captain, and I guess you want to say first mate, if you want to call him that. I'm not going to try to do their names because it would just not be good. Um, but the first mate does show up, um, to this little Greek restaurant that is basically helping people escape New York, whether that's like vigilantes or whatever. They were helping them escape the city. Now, obviously, because she had a conversation with Matt Murdock, and now she's probably going to get in contact with him to let him know, hey, here's the first mate, and then stuff like that. So at the end of the episode, towards the end of the episode, Cherry is just going through some files. The task force shows up. Some of the punching didn't look all that real, to be quite honest. But other than that, he gets roughed up. Cherry does get roughed up a bit, and Matt comes in. He's able to save Cherry, but Cherry seems to be having a heart attack during this entire thing, which kind of distracts Matt enough to where the task force guys can get an upper hand on him and basically unmask him. And they're getting ready to basically shoot Matt when a quick burst of like, I guess maybe sniper fire or something like that, like just a quick succession of attacks take out all of the task force guys, and then we see a knife gets thrown in and lands, and it says "You're welcome" with bullseye symbol on the knife itself. So I get how bullseye was known to be there. He just maybe was following Matt. I don't know, but bullseye saves Matt from one being killed, and then two keeping his identity a secret. And now we got to know about Cherry because he was grabbing his arm, so it definitely looked like he was having a heart attack or something like that. What else about this episode? So you have it to where BB and Karen have a conversation amongst themselves, especially talking about how Karen feels like Ben died protecting her, and she talked about how like how it's easy to manipulate the manipulators, and just have this whole conversation like that, because again, BB is pretending to be on Team Fisk just to get information from Daniel. Let me see, because I still have the episode up. I think that's roughly it. Now you do get some montage of people like again talking about how there's the street level camera going and just talking to people on the street and stuff like that. Some people are enjoying it. Others are just kind of like, man, whatever. We do get a conversation with Mr. Charles Fisk and Vanessa, talking about the situation with the ship in the harbor. I think they thought, or at least maybe they didn't think the harbor was deep enough, because the contingency plan was if it was boarded, let's say by Daredevil, for instance, or a vigilante, they're supposed to sink the ship, which they do, but the ship doesn't fully sink. So I'm not sure if the impression was the ship didn't fully sink like it was supposed to, but basically they're having a conversation. I feel like it's probably CIA or some type of high level government like that's involved with Fisk and Vanessa, because Mr. Charles mentions like they're very appreciative of them letting them use their ports, because if I remember correctly, which was such a weird thing that should have been fixed in reality, but the port that we learned about in the first season is not attached. It's not part of the New York City property. It's basically international, so it can do whatever it wants and not be subject to like this like United States law or city law or whatever like that. And so that was kind of like that's interesting, but you would think something like that would have been fixed at a certain point, or not even, wouldn't even be allowed to happen. But yeah, because basically, as long as Fisk stays, like for instance, if he does get found out, the city turns on him, they want justice. As long as he stays where that harbor is, they can't touch him. But I would assume the moment he like try to step foot in the city itself, they can arrest him. At least that's what. At least I remember that's how it was. I wish I would have watched the series before this came out, but it is what it is. So, there's a conversation about like because Fisk talks about he's putting together a salvage team, and Matthew Leonard's like, Mr. Charles is like, no. He's talking about he's a guy in logistics. Like, it's easy to hide the bodies, but trying to move like 30 plus tons of military grade equipment through a city full of people without anybody noticing, that's drastically hard. That's very difficult to do. Um, and if obviously Fisk is like, well, we're putting together a salvage team, don't get it taken care of, and Mr. Charles is like, okay, then you have no problem killing these guys after they done their job. And obviously Fisk and Vanessa kind of hesitate about it, and like, it's hard to find good men. And then Mr. Charles is basically like, well, I could find some guys, no, basically people that nobody's going to miss, and they can do it, and then they can have a industrial sized accident per se, and that'd be the end of that. That way, the circle is closed. It's not going to fall back on anybody, not on Mr. Charles and his associates, and not on Fisk and Vanessa. So yeah. But yeah, overall, I thought the first episode was probably maybe a little bit better than the first episode of season one of Born Again. The fight sequences looked pretty good. It wasn't a weird CGI smoke screen happening. I thought it was, thought it was fine. Thought it was fine. So nothing. We'll see how the season holds up. But I think they maybe have learned from their mistakes of season one. We'll see, because there were a lot of those sequences where, like, you will see in the Netflix series where at the beginning of the episode where Daredevil was like breaking people's arm, you'll see like the bone and the ligaments and everything like that. And so yeah. But all right, guys, that is relatively it. That is just my thoughts on episode 1 of Daredevil Born Again. If you're new to the channel, be sure you hit that like and subscribe button, comment below. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Y'all have a good one.